The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild rose the bar in a lot of ways. Not only for Zelda as a franchise, not even for Nintendo as a publisher, but instead for open world games as a genre. When Breath of the Wild came out during 2017, it showed us that open world games needed to change. Entirely open-ended with complete reliance on player freedom. Right down to even the combat encounters, everything sort of felt like a puzzle. Puzzles you could in theory brute force your way through, or come up with a clever solution to. And it was freeing in a way. Unfortunately, Breath of the Wild is a game so good that it ended up kind of ruining any future games in the series. To keep a long story short, Nintendo sort of jumped the shark and people were able to tell. This is not, nor will it be, the last mistake that Nintendo ever makes. Sorry, I think something caught in my throat there. I think it was the money I'm not willing to spend. Or the amount of crushed hopes and dreams for people who make ROMs. Or the Palworld lawsuit. Look, you get the point. For as much good as Nintendo does for the medium that is video games, they do almost twice as much bad as well. And odds are, I probably don't need to tell you that. So I guess it's a good thing that Nintendo doesn't have monopolies on open-world video games. This is Zefyr, A Thief's Melody. And for those of you who watch this very long intro, allow me to repay your courtesy by giving you the verdict early. This game is genuinely cool and truly a one-of-a-kind gem. It has some problems in the polish department, but since I was given a review copy of the game early, I'm willing to bet these issues are going to get ironed out before the game comes out. So if you're interested, there's a demo, and the Steam page will be listed in the description below. Hope you enjoyed the video, hope you enjoyed the game. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, share the video, blah blah blah. For the rest of you, let's talk Zefyr. Matthias Fontmarty of Oniric Worlds both developed and published Zefyr. It's a solo development project that's taken up to 12 years and counting to truly come into fruition. Before we properly start this video, I also just need to mention Oniric Worlds is based in France, and Matthias is the only developer of the studio. Maybe possibly keep a pin in this one for later, but mostly for now just understand that if I get any of the names wrong, I'm not really all that good at even pronouncing English names, so there's that. Clicking start game for the first time will bring us to the head of the Thieves Guild, Master Josh. Okay? The game kicks off proper with the tutorial. I won't bore you with going through the tutorial any, so let's talk about the gameplay. There's a good reason I brought up Breath of the Wild whenever I started this video. The game's pitch goes out of its way to mention that it's sort of a mix between Breath of the Wild and The Wind Waker. And if you've played or know anything about both of those games, then I think it might be safe to say that you have a pretty accurate idea of what this game plays like. Long story short, it's a cool idea and it's a pretty neat setting. After completing the tutorial, we get properly accepted into the Thieves Guild. We practically start the game with these magnetic climbing claws, which is more or less this game's answer to Breath of the Wild's stamina system, in regards to climbing walls and such. We start our first real mission while we're working for the Thieves Guild, and it's a good enough tutorial to explain to us how platforming is going to be like, what we can expect from the climbing and such. And man, just everything about this game is so cozy feeling. That seems to be something of a sticking point for Matthias's other work as well, but I don't know, it just feels good, it looks really good. All I'm saying is that if your game takes place mostly on or around water, then your water needs to look the part, and it certainly does here. We get introduced to other mechanics as well, such as curing sick animals using these Kara squashes? I don't know how to pronounce this one either, I'm gonna be honest. And since we are playing as a thief, you better believe that there's treasure we can collect as well. Paintings and flowers and important quest items. Most of the collectibles can be sold, and wow, that number going up makes me feel really good. It's around this time we also get our first taste of combat as well. Most of your combat, especially early game, is going to be facilitated by the bow staff. And I feel a little bit mixed on this one personally. Fighting in this game is extremely simple, and that's fine, it doesn't need to be complex. The bow staff is capable of doing a 3-hit combo or a charge attack. Let me just mention, I have zero problems with the charge attack whatsoever. It functions perfectly fine, it does what you need it to do. It's just the 3-hit combo is a little bit weird to me. I feel like the animation is a little bit stilted, and you could probably improve it by making it to where I can still run around while I attack. I guess while we're talking about it some too, we can go ahead and start explaining some of the weird little issues this game has. I will insist that these are probably just really tiny little issues that are not that big of a deal but the reason I even mention them is because they're definitely big enough that they would bother some people. All of it more or less just boils down to the main character not having enough animations or poses for whatever they're doing. When you go to toss a curing fruit, for example, there's no animation of you, like, throwing the fruit or whatever. There's no animation for using the slingshot and stuff like that. It's not like there hasn't been care taken into mechanics like these, because I have noticed that if you're spamming the fire button for the slingshot, you get an aiming reticle that sort of blooms outwards the more you fire the weapon. So this means that panic firing is desensitized. What? Not incentivized? I don't know, whatever, you get the point. You're not supposed to panic fire. This game works best on the puzzle and combat front of things whenever you're stealthing around. Wind Waker is no stranger to having stealth segments as well. And especially if you're playing as a thief character, sneaking around, skulking in the shadows, grabbing what you can and leaving, that does fit still. I specifically like the slingshot a lot because it doesn't require any ammo. It's incapable of doing anything to an enemy other than distracting them, and otherwise you would use it to trigger switches. And that's all it really needs to do. Like I said, whenever it comes to most of the problems I have with this game, it's just tiny stuff. And because I'm playing and recording this footage before the game comes out, I'm willing to bet these are going to be some of the first things addressed whenever the game properly releases. Let me also just mention as well, Matthias, if you are watching this video, first off, hello, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about your game. It's very cool, I like it. Understand that I feel really bad whenever I talk about something negative in an indie game, especially something that was, you know, personally given to me to sort of get the word out for. It almost always feels like I'm punching down, and I don't want to do that. Understand that I don't necessarily feel good about bringing to light some of the issues I personally have with the game. I'm also not the person developing Zefyr, so if nothing else, maybe I'm super off base whenever I come up with any suggestions or problems or whatever. But, I don't know. I'd feel a lot worse if I didn't at least express my concerns regarding the problems I have with this game. I'm going to very quickly get past all of the problems I do have just so that it's not the highlight or the main takeaway from this video, because I absolutely do not want that to be the case. I already brought up things before, like the game needs more animations with its main player character, more poses and stuff. It feels kind of weird and stilted whenever Aiko, your main player character, is surfing on the turtle and he just kind of stands there. Like, he has this dynamic pose with all the promotional art in the title screen, so maybe just give him that pose and I think that would be all you need to do. You know, again, on paper. Speaking of the big turtle boat, I kind of feel like it takes too long to actually get the ability to sail around to other islands. Let me establish as well that I have something of a navigation issue for some reason. And this goes with not only video games, but just kind of in general. I don't know where I'm going in most places, and it's hard for me to keep track of, like, signposts and stuff to figure out where I'm going, so maybe this is more of a me problem. But it did roughly take me about 3 hours, give or take, to actually be able to sail around to the other islands. If you're looking for ideas to maybe fix this, then just have it to where some of the puzzles are sort of signposted. For the rest of you, yes, this game does in fact have puzzles, and what you might not immediately realize is that the order that you complete the quests in is also its own form of puzzle solving. Let me use the turtle quest again, just as an example. So your goal here is to essentially cure 5 turtles using the curing fruit, and then also get a map so that you're able to talk to this fisherman, get the turtle, and be on your way. You can get 4 of the 5 turtles just fine. You do need to get a flute to reach one of them. Playing music, you know, oh, it's a thief's melody, I get the title now. And that's cool, that's fine. I know where the flute is because it was in the spawning vicinity whenever I started the game, so I know where to get that again. A somewhat easily missable turtle that you can cure, though, is over in this far-off wharf area. I tried for like 5 minutes to just toss fruit as hard as I could to see if I could maybe reach it there, and for some reason, only minutes after I, walked away from that area did I get a quest to unlock the swimming tutorial. So I said, okay, I need to figure out how to do swimming first, and that makes sense to me, but why did it take me so long to first fail at this puzzle before I unlocked the ability to get the swimming ability? I like most of the more quintessential puzzles, though. There's this one section in the BOTW where you have to use a arrow turret to fire a button for you because you don't have the slingshot yet. I figured that out on my own without the game telling me anything, and that was pretty cool. There are certain quest chains that really do highlight everything good and everything not so good about this game. I won't go into too much more detail on it here, but things like the statuette quest, where you have to get the flippy statues and they're in, 2 different islands, that's mostly what I'm talking about here. The environment's full of enemies that you have to stealth around and, you know, selectively fight and stuff. That's all pretty good, but the levels themselves have, again, a little bit of a pacing issue. Where do I find the keys in the, Counselor's Villa, for example? There's just no signposting there, and I don't know where I'm going. Two last things I'll mention so I can stop being so negative about this section. One, I think the game can benefit a lot from some sort of puzzle-solving noise. Because this game emulates Zelda in a lot of ways, I think it would fit the bill pretty nicely. The reason Zelda has those little sound cues is because the game is sort of deliberately rewarding you for your efforts. It's an acknowledgement of you making progress. And like I keep saying, it's all the little stuff that you could do to this game to help it propel into stardom, or, you know, some equivalent to such. The last problem I have is a pretty big one, and I genuinely don't know if there is a easy way to fix it. The writing for the game just kind of misses the mark in, every instance, more or less. And I know this is incredibly just, like, harsh to say, I guess. The game has a lot of dialogue, and sometimes, whenever you're trying to do a joke or, you know, explain things properly, some of it does work, but a lot of it just doesn't it doesn't work, sometimes. I like the ex-pirate Roderick, I think he's pretty funny. And this one joke whenever you're sneaking into the villa, that's genuinely good writing. It's just, I don't know, most of the game really isn't this clever or witty. Like I said, I really don't know if there's a way that you could fix this, not with my personal understanding of production or what have you. I have an extremely conjecturous theory relating to the fact that this game is based in a French studio. I'm willing to bet that English might not be Matthias's first language, and maybe that's where some of the writing problems come in. Maybe the French version of the game just, I don't know, hits its mark better with a lot of the dialogue and such. I could be wrong, I don't know. It's not like I can read or speak French, so, And like I said, this is conjecturous anyway. That's all of the negatives out of the way. And like I always say whenever I have any instance like this in a video, I'm not trying to beat you down necessarily for something you worked so hard on. I'm sure the last thing you want to hear after working on a game for 12 years is, oh, well, it could use some work in a couple places, blah, blah, whatever. That's not, you know... Like I said, I don't feel good about any of this. Pretty crucial thing to note as well, I want to keep playing Zefyr. I had fun with this game, and I'm sure for, you know, many people, it can be their sort of pick-up-and-forget Zen video game. It certainly has the makings for that. The general art direction and art style of the game is, frankly, gorgeous. Practically any scene of this game is just so picturesque, I'm genuinely having trouble coming up with, like, the thumbnail for this, just because everything looks so good. Most of the OST comprises piano in a lot of its music as well, and the melodies are extremely calming. The track that plays whenever you're just sailing around on the Great Sea, that has genuinely gotten stuck in my head. The little developmental flourishes that are present in the game go a long way to propel it as well. There's appropriate level of hit stun whenever you attack an enemy, and I highlight specifically the hit stun because so many indie games just don't focus on stuff like that. It works, and it makes the game feel all the better because of it. These little moments of tiny attention to detail type things, like Aiko standing over a smokestack and having the smoke being blown in his face and he coughs because of it. That is the mark of effort and passion, because most people wouldn't think to do something like that. Collecting things like the game's main currency feels good, and spending it on upgrades and stuff is appropriate to allow for better progression. Namely, its map upgrades to find more collectibles. All the things that do work for this game provide the proper feelings of progress. Let it be known, Matthias, your game is just a couple steps away from being truly revolutionary. And I genuinely do feel that way. It's the passionate work of devs like Matthias that can show us that love, care, attention, heart, and soul are the things that makes video games special. Remind us why we play video games in the first place. And that needs to be honored and respected. And with that being said, go play Zefyr: A Thief's Melody. The demo's on the Steam page and it's all linked in the description. And hey, while you're down there, why not like, subscribe, ring the bell, and maybe share this video with once or returning Zelda fans. If you feel like being, I don't know, the nicest person on the planet, you can also join the Patreon for $1 a month. And you know what that means? Patreon shoutout time. I'd like to extend a very special thank you to Stefan over on patreon.com. Members like our wonderful friend here can get access to things like sneak peeks of videos before they come up on YouTube, early releases to videos before they drop on Friday, and the ability to have their name shouted out at the end of these videos. Also, whenever this video drops on Friday, it's gonna be my birthday, so, you know, if you want to give a cool birthday present, I'm not gonna tell you no. And I think that's all I got, so, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. See you again next Friday for something completely different, and let me know what you think about Zefyr. I hope you enjoyed watching, and have a good day, everybody.